Anyone?
Good in here now.
Bring this, what? Yeah, well, here. Here, you wanna hit that for me? Bang it on there. I'd like to bring this regular council meeting of Tuesday, May 13th, 2025 to order. Confirmation of agenda was moved by Councillor McCutcheon, second by Councillor Gadry. Be it resolved that the agenda for the regular council meeting of May 13th, 2025 be approved as printed. Any comments, questions? All those in favor? Carried. Good vote. Actually, before we go to down the list, I want to introduce today we have Mayor for a day, Mayor Brody Gibson. Welcome, Brody. Brody and Ms. McIntyre and I did a little tour of the city today. We did staff, we did the town hall, met all the staff. Thank you, staff. We did, where did we go? We went to Public Works. Went to the fire hall. Thank you to Manu Landry for taking time off his day off to come and show us around. Cody was at Public Works. And then we went to Aqua. Chris Chiraka showed us around at both the water treatment plant and the sewer treatment plant. So thank you to everybody for making our day pretty cool. And we went for lunch. Move on to closed session. We have no closed session. We have no business arising from closed. The Township of Black River and Masson acknowledges the Apatipi and Assiniboine Nation traditional territory. We live, play, and work here together, and together we shall build a strong and inclusive community. A reminder to all in attendance that council meetings are recorded and made available to the public on the Township website for review. Moving on to disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof. Do we have any tonight? Councillor Charbonneau?
I got a interest, I, Dan Charbonneau, declare potential direct or indirect pecuniary interest on item 10A. Bridge to Plummer Road / Clark Road, next from Rick Falls. I own property in this area.
Okay. Thank you. Councillor Gadry?
Thank you. I have a conflict. I, Councillor Louise Gadry, declare a potential or direct pecuniary interest on item 10D for donation request because I'm a part of the board for the Adult Learning Center and Good Food Box.
Okay, thank you. You want the papers now or can we hand them in?
Yeah, I'm at the end.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Was moved by Councillor Gadry, seconded by Councillor McCutcheon. Be it resolved that the minutes of the April 22nd, 2025 regular council meeting and the April 24th, 2025 special council meeting be approved as printed. Questions or comments? All those in favor? Moved by Councillor Gadry, seconded by Councillor McCutcheon. Be it resolved that the consent agenda items listed on the May 13th, 2025 regular council agenda, specifically items 8A to 8B, be received by council and that any motions contained therein be supported as written. Questions or comments on those? All those in favor? Move to new business, 10A. Councillor several times. Gather. And A is new business, bridge to Plummer Road / Clark Road, annex from Iroquois Falls, and Councillor McCutcheon, I believe, is going to lead our discussion here.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this came to light because I work at Monteith and I know the bridge at the Driftwood River's closed. It's been closed for quite some time. And there's been a couple of fires over on Plummer and Clark. where Iroquois Falls has to come all the way down the highway and come all the way back up to get to it. Unless mutual aid's invoked, we don't get involved. Same with their snow plows and stuff, so just wanna get staff to get in touch with Iroquois Falls, see if there's an appetite to change to go to the minister to change the boundary so that we absorb from the borderline right now in BG to the Driftwood River. Our side of the Driftwood River would be the boundary.
Okay.
And we would absorb that from Iroquois Falls.
Any questions from council? Councillor Bouchard?
Yeah, I just have a question. Is it to absorb for fire protection only, or is it for all, everything, all road maintenance, everything? No.
We'll just annex the property from there up to the Driftwood River.
But in return, we would get the tax base.
I guess that you're looking for staff to create a report as to how we can do it, what it
Yeah.
benefits, what its disadvantages would be.
Cost plus minus, something like that, and then even if Iroquois Falls is amenable to that.
So obviously the report would entail not only, I guess, our staff, but it would, the fire department as well, which is another concern of it. Councillor Campbell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just looking at the map, this blue line is just a rough line, right? Because there are some properties on Clark Road that are kind of above that blue line. I just want to clarify that just to make sure. It's just a rough line right now, just for direction.
Yes.
Through the mayor, yes, when I originally was building the agenda, I wasn't sure about the exact boundaries. This is just to start the discussion.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? No? Okay, well. We can prepare a resolution if. And we won't put a timeline on the report. We've learned. The resolution will read that council directs staff to bring back a report on the feasibility, impacts, and requirements of annexing Plummer Road and Clark Road, including financial, fire, taxation, and service considerations. If I get Mr. Jaguar.
Should we not engage with our fall first to see if even there's an appetite before we go do these studies? Like, I would hate to go and do all these applications. And
Yeah.
Paul said.
Okay, I just figured that would be part of it, so
Okay, just want to make sure we have clear direction.
do you want to put a tagline in there that upon approval of Iroquois Falls first?
Yeah, we're gonna add at the end.
Council Gathering?
Yeah, I think we need to consider more than just fire, like ambulance, all emergency services.
Okay, good point. The council directs staff to bring back a report on the feasibility, impacts, and requirements of annexing Plummer Road and Clark Road, including financial, all emergency, taxation, and service considerations upon approval from Iroquois Falls. Everybody's good with that? Can I get a move and a seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Goddard, second by Councillor Charbonneau.
No, not Charbonneau.
Or council. That wouldn't look good. Goddard and council. All those in favor? Carried. Even when he's not here, he's
Names are hard.
someone want to get Counselor Charbonneau? Annexing was the 51st Street. Okay, so we're here. We're B. On to 10B. Council considerations, strategic direction regarding municipal buildings. So we all filled out a little questionnaire as to where we think the municipality should go. Yeah, this is not to replace, but this is in advance of our completing a proper strategic plan. And the reason we have to do it obviously is because in a short period of time, we're going to be moving our office to temporary, which we shouldn't be there for 20 years. So that's what prompted this. So Angie received all the information and created a chart. Did you want to speak on to what the chart represents, what it came back as? And then we'll open it for discussion.
So through the mayor, we put out a little survey through mayor and council, asking them what they want to do for strategic direction involving the municipal office in the long term. The consensus was for the majority of council, they want to eventually bring everything into kind of a mega facility at this location, including the library and the museum. And then they would declare the remaining buildings surplus.
Okay, I'll open the floor for discussion. Anybody wants to start off as to why they chose Councilor Guthrie?
That was one thing I had mentioned, to either keep it where it is or co-locate with everything else. I think the library board are very attached to that building. There's a lot of, I don't know, there's some advantages to staying there because they have quite a bit in there, like that Logan's room, and there's different things that would be like very costly and a lot of work to move. And there was question of the location of the museum, like it's far for the kids to walk there.
The existing museum you're referring to?
No, the library, if we were to move it to
Okay.
the arena, it's far for the children to walk.
Okay. So you're thinking co-locate everything other than the library?
Yes.
Okay. Councilor Charbonneau?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll kind of contradict that because I'm not on the board. The library right now has like a basement, right? And everything's going accessible, and it would be very hard to make it accessible for downstairs. I think if you look at how much utilities we're paying per year on all of our buildings, it would just make sense to come to one location and utilize our solar system.
Councilor Allen?
There'd also be utilization of staff and stuff like that, like being able to do different things, so if maybe the librarian isn't there, then someone else can be there to open and close it, or something like that, where there's just more versatility if you have everything in one place. And having it back here would make it's more of a quiet street, where the library is now, there's a lot of cars that run up and down that road, so kids do walk there lots, but crossing that road and everything, as she stated before, has been kind of an issue. So being kind of at the back of town here would kind of be a benefit for that. There'd be less traffic and things like that going around, and one would hope.
Yep. Okay. Councilor Bouchard?
Yeah, and on that subject, I mean, it all looks good by just talking about it right now, but if it's gonna cost us like $6-7 million to build this facility, then we'll never be able to afford to do it, so. And that's why I put on my comment, like for just having the office here would be just a plain Jane office, a functional office, but Nothing too elaborate, doesn't have to have glass windows all the way around or whatever, and definitely the benefit of the solar panel during the summer for the air conditioner, and then depending what you use for heat in the winter, you might get some benefit out of it too. And then for the library, it has to be all looked at. I mean, to make a building that big to accommodate all that, we definitely have to do a lot of work to study if it's actually feasible or cost effective. I mean, it's gonna cost money no matter what, but how much money is it gonna be, this much or way up here?
Mhm.
And do we have to have multiple levels, and do we have to have an elevator? It gets more and more complicated, so. I think it's a long-term plan, but definitely needs to be kind of looked at, but.
Yeah, I think the gist of what we're trying to do tonight is to see where are we gonna draw upon some funds and get some studies done to see where we're going? Because we can. There's no sense determining, do we want a 2-story, 1-story, do we want wood siding, all that stuff, it's just, is it feasible, right? And as Councilor Charbonneau alluded to, just the cost of the 3 buildings for utilities is insane. So if you had a co-located 3 units, the middle unit is gonna have 2 inside walls as their outside walls, so their heating bill there will be a lot less. So I think that's where we're trying to get tonight, is to see where we're going from here. So that the residents will know when we move into this new building, what are we doing? Because we're just moving into a new building, then just gonna sit there, we could sit there for 5 years, we get comfortable. So I think it's an opportunity to also save money and make money. Councilor Charbonneau.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to put a motion to start feasibility study and also like preliminary
Concept.
not drawings, but like what it would be a concept, yeah, you know.
Just something hand drawn as to bring us back to council, this is what it would look like. Something just to get us the ball rolling.
I'm sure our town manager can figure a bit of-
Through you,
Mr.
Mr.
Garrett?
Mayor, I think if we look at 2025 and just passing a budget and not allocating any funds for this project. What staff could do is start to look at any kind of funding opportunities that are maybe open now. That are going to be opening in 2026 to do the studies and do what we can in-house, but like if we start talking about an actual feasibility study. It's gonna cost money, right? So, to do it in 2025, we would have to find funds. But if we just start keeping our eyes open for, grants, opportunities and whatnot, then in 2026, we could probably get some kind of study done with hopefully some grant money as well. As long as it's on our radar, we can at least start looking at it.
Mhm.
Cause if you want a feasibility study done now, then we're gonna have to go to the treasury department and come back with costing and then figure out where we're taking that money in the budget.
I think just the idea of getting it going so that people know that we're not just moving for no reason, so.
Okay.
Ms. Larson?
I was going to comment on where are we finding the funds for this, and it would be better to plan it for the 2026 budget. Put money into the budget specifically for.
Were you thinking maybe a feasibility study just by staff as to
Yeah,
something in house spare time? Councilor Charbonneau?
thank you, Mr. Mayor, because it's all fine and dandy to put a feasibility study in 2026. But do we put 20,000 or do we put 200,000? How do we know?
Mhm.
When we do the budget, right? But if staff can look into this at the moment, we can have those answers ready for 2026 budget that we're gonna do in the next 4 or 5 months.
Is that something, Mr. Zager, that the staff would be capable of creating our own feasibility study rather than paying a third party?
We could for sure get a preliminary study done in-house. I believe we are more than capable of doing so. And then we'll look at where that gets us and then to what we would need in 2026 to get something furtherly done, what we bring back the preliminary.
Any other comments from council? Okay. People like it. So we have a resolution here.
Not so much the future. Sorry. This is like, at this location.
Doesn't have to be this location, just, yeah, Council Jarman, just, yeah, just to get it going, okay. It will read, be it resolved that council directs staff to conduct a preliminary feasibility study on the future of the municipal office, arena, library, and museum. Does that sit well with everybody? So, if I can have a mover and a seconder on that, please. Councillor Allen. Councillor Campson. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Move on to C, be it moved by Councillor Bouchard, second by Councillor Charbonneau, be it resolved that council receive the final draft of the tax collection policy as presented, and further that staff be directed to prepare a bylaw for formal adoption at a future council meeting. Questions or comments on that draft policy? I have a question for treasurer. On page 4, as far as it refers to payments in person, 3.1. We indicate that we can pay by cash, check, direct debit, or credit card. Is this the opportunity that we open to council or you to decide on whether we add a fee to paying by credit card?
To council, so I've had some conversations with, global merchants who supply us with our, machines. And there are only certain cards that we can apply a pay, surcharge to. So it's actually my thought that I'm going to bring a report later throughout the year to council with the pros and cons of
Okay.
having debit.
Okay,
And then it'll be left to council to decide.
okay, so we're okay to proceed with this draft policy for now then? Okay. Any other questions, comments from council? All right, all those in favor? Here. Are we here now? Item 10D was moved by Councillor Charbonneau, second by Councillor Campbell. Be it resolved that council approve a donation in the amount of blank to the Time to Lead Not-for-Profit Committee to assist in offsetting the costs associated with hosting their community event. And be it further resolved that council approve a donation in the amount of blank to the Good Food Box. Oh yeah, sorry, Louise had to leave. To assist in offsetting transportation costs related to the delivery of this service to residents within the community. And be it further resolved that council direct staff on a decision regarding the donation request from the Masson and District Agricultural Society requesting to be added as a rider on our insurance policy. I'll open it up for questions or comments to this council. Councillor Campbell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For the Time to Lead, I think we should do $1,000 donation. And obviously give them a hand with any equipment needs, like to help them get set up on the property. For the Good Food Box, I'd like to know a little bit more on how they are doing since they started the program in Matheson. How many times a month they're coming down, how many boxes they're actually selling or donating, but however that one word. Just to, find out like how much they're actually asking, because I know they said something about they're asking $100 per trip. So just to know like how many trips they're actually making. And for the Egg Society, is there an issue with them piggybacking on our insurance policy?
That I will ask Ms. Larson to respond.
Through Mayor and Council, I did contact our insurance providers, and their immediate response was no. They are not, if they were a committee of council and council was organizing this event, then it would be covered under our policies. This is not, this is completely theirs. They could have waivers, you know, for people to sign that we're going in the parade. But it was not recommended that she wouldn't even discuss a cost or.
Pretty easy answer there.
Yeah.
Good food box, sorry, I'll speak on that as well. There was an email contact on the letter and I tried to reach out for those questions and I couldn't reach them. And I, for some reason, is thinking they're doing it once a month. My God, once a month for, 6 months. Perhaps that would be the way to go for a donation if you were considering it.
Yeah, to be honest, if he's coming down once a month, I think we should cover the $100 per trip.
I'll throw a wrench into plans here regarding this resolution. I spoke with Ministry of Municipal Affairs Housing when I was at Phenom Conference past weekend. And I brought this policy up to her, just it happened to be on my phone at the time. And the direction that she told me that we should be doing with policies like this is a policy and it's to guide our staff what to do. So we shouldn't be involved in the day-to-day operations. So the policy should be that we as council donate $20,000 to give away throughout the year, whatever the amount is, and then leave it. And then staff will determine the amount that's given to each and every individual organization. So one, do they qualify? So last week we had a Porcus Rodeo contact us. They're not in our municipality, so yeah, they're not eligible for an amount. But what the ministry was telling us is that, or telling me to tell all of you, is that we should just set the amount and leave it to the town manager to divest at the end of the year, say September, if another organization comes in, they want $500 and we don't have $500, then the town manager would come to us to say, I need $500. Because as she said, we shouldn't be involved. We could sit here and we could do $1,000, $1,200, $1,500, $5,000. It's just a waste of our time. We should be onto different and bigger fish and making Mr. Giguere be the bad guy. But it was the ministry was in here before, so she was very familiar with how we operate. So she said once a policy is set, we shouldn't be going back and changing the policy. So that throws a wrench into this resolution. So I'm gonna open it up to comments now. Councillor Allen?
So do we want to change that resolution to direct staff to make the choices as they see fit, and we agree with the policy overall, so let them make the choices?
Putting that out for you. Councillor Bouchard?
I think it should be up to us to decide. I mean, that way there it eliminates any favoritism, anything like that. You know, it's brought to us, we decide on it, takes 2 minutes, you know, we've all read it, we all know. To give it to one individual or two individuals to do, it could be construed as favoritism in one way and all that. So, this way here, there's 6 or 7 of us making the decision. It's not biased or whatever, make decision, that's what we decided and the way we go. Giving it to one person or 2 people to decide it could make a hard decision for that person. And they can come back and say, well, how come he didn't want to give it to me? And this way here, we all voted on it, that's what it is, and it was done. I know it's petty, but we could, we're talking about it now because it's a new policy and we brought up the thing, but it could easily be done in a couple of minutes.
But it's no different than buying a ream of paper. So the town manager determines where they're buying a ream of paper. His sister-in-law could be a paper salesman and we don't know that, right? So
Yeah.
we gotta make sure we separate ourselves from the constant.
Think
It's,
this is
it's goes in the same thing as when JHK came and asked us for use of the school. That's something that we pay our staff and that's something that we trust our staff to do. So, did you have another comment, Mr. Richard?
I don't think it's the same, it's a donation, it's a little different than day-to-day operation,
Mhm.
so, but it's up to other people to. If you want to be.
Ms. Larson?
Through mayor and council, suggestion is we actually were revamping this policy, we could word it. That, donation requests are to be in by mid-February, first come as they're dated. And once the money's gone, the money's gone, we could make the policy fit what you're requesting.
I'm just, it came from higher up, right? It came from the ministry, so. Any other comments before I ask Mr. Jiguer to give his 2 cents? Councilor McCutcheon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Now that the minister said that, I think I kind of lean towards Mr. Bouchard about, how we decide, like, we've been deciding it. If we do, just let the staff deal with it. Maybe when they do a donation, the next council meeting, there's like a report or something saying that we've done this, we spent this much and this is the balance. And we just, that way we can see, we still are informed, we still know what's going on, so if there's all of a sudden. Something like somebody's offering a $2,000 or $5,000 donation. That's a lot. We can ask questions about it.
Mhm.
But if it's just handing it out, as long as we get informed on what they've done.
Yeah, well, we're gonna be getting reports. Ms. Billy?
So this resolution is based on our existing policy. Funnily enough, the updated policy is being passed later this meeting. We pass at the 3rd reading. We can make revisions before it's passed. We can defer the decision. I can bring back another policy. The way they have it in Timmins is they have a threshold. So donation requests up to, I believe, 500, they go through staff. Anything above that, council takes over and they make the decision. Our entire budget for donations, I believe, is 6,500 for all organizations. So it's not a huge pool in comparison to how many donations we get, requests we get in a year. Up to council if you want to do it entirely for staff decision making. But if you want to put a threshold, then you can say, if it becomes a big request, $2,000, then council can deliberate on it, because that takes up a third of your budget, right, for that item.
Mhm.
It's really up to council.
Councilor Sharma?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think the only issue with that would be, if the threshold is 500. They can give out all the whole amount in $500 shots, and then somebody comes for 1,000 and they sit back on the line because they gotta come to council, right?
Mhm.
So that's where that would be a downfall.
Well, I'm looking for council for direction. Are we picking amounts? Mr. Jiguer, can I get you to weigh in on this? Because you're on the other side of the table too.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I think we're dealing with 2 separate things. I think so there's donations that are on the table for tonight that I think people are waiting for answers and they have their events that are coming up. And then I think moving forward, there's an opportunity from what I'm hearing in the room to make amendments to what we're gonna be talking about later on to please all of mayor and council. I think we're looking at 2 different
Yeah.
things, right? So I think right now we should focus on the 2 donations that are on the table in front of council. When we get it a little later in the meeting, when we start talking about how the new policy is going to read, then we can talk about a pass forward and maybe not passing it tonight, and then giving staff time to go back and rework the new policy.
Okay.
That's what I would.
Can you give details of how Iroquois Falls does their
Yeah, actually, I was a little taken when you said what the minister had told you, and I actually made a note to bring it back to my table. As we function in a very similar way as you do, but we only get back donations that meet our requirements. So staff vet the donation, make sure that all the boxes are checked off, that is in our current policy. And if they meet the policy, then they go back to mayor and council for approval of an amount. If they don't meet the requirements as per our policy, they don't go to the council.
Do you preset the amount when you bring it to council or leave it to discuss at the council table?
Usually there's a donation amount that they are requesting. So usually if there could be like 3 or 4 different packages that they're offering. So staff would say, based on what is left in this year's budget, we recommend that you go with this one, but then it's still up to mayor and council if they want to give more or less.
Okay.
So we always tell you what's left in the bank, so then you can make an educated decision on the time of the year and whatnot.
What's left in our kitty?
I believe the full amount.
Yes,
6,500.
6,500.
So let's get some, Councillor Bouchard.
I'd like to second Councillor Campbell's donation for 1,000 for the time to live,
Time to
my
Lead,
time
yeah.
to lead. And then the second one, good food box, it'd be nice to know if it's if you need like $600 to cover the year, or then we could cover that. There's just not quite enough detail there for that one.
Mr. Jagger,
We can go back and have a conversation with the food box and then bring back more information for the next meeting.
okay. Councillor Bouchard,
And then the third one for the Ag Society, that's in the, no, it's not, no coverage, can't help there, so.
Councillor Charbonneau, comments?
I agree with the 1,000 for time to lead, and I think the good food box, we should just maybe give them 500-600 this year and just tell them we need more information, you know, like. If it doesn't cover the year, it doesn't cover the year, too bad.
Councillor Allen,
I'm in the same boat. I think the $1,000 is good, and $500 for the good food box would cover at least a portion of the year. And then once they come back with us with more information, then we can,
yeah, we're May now, so 7
Yeah.
months left. Councillor McCutcheon?
I'm on board with them, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, so it'd be the resolution would be for 1,000 for time to lead, 500 for the good food box, and a negative to the Ag Society.
So we'll just strike that out.
Oh.
So you'll need, we're gonna answer that, you'll need to actually table a motion to amend, the original resolution's already tabled.
Mhm.
So you would ask for an amendment,
On this one?
so you need to move in a second.
Oh, yeah, couldn't do this one. Okay. So we're going to amend a resolution, so I'll need a move and a seconder for the amendment, Councillor Charbonneau. Campson.
Then the resolution will read as is, and it's just struck out. But, you know,
We're getting bigger screens here. Moved by Councillor Charbonneau, second by Councillor Campbell. Be it resolved that council approve a donation in the amount of $1,000 to the Time to Lead Not-for-Profit Committee to assist in offsetting the costs associated with hosting their community event. And be it further resolved that council approve a donation in the amount of $500 to the Good Food Box program to assist in offsetting transportation costs related to the delivery of this service to residents within the community. All those in favor? Here. Thank you. Mr. Jagger?
And just for the Egg Society, instead of just telling them no, I do have some more information to give them because Air Falls does do a Christmas parade that does not fall underneath the town, so they do have a letter that they use, basically waivers, so I will try to assist them in getting those waivers, so if they want to move forward, they have some information.
Okay,
Okay.
great, thank you. And with the Time to Lead, I think we're gonna do some in-kind as well, some pylons or barricades to assist them.
Yes, so our mechanic Cody Price is also on the board of directors for that event. So we've already started a little list of in-kind donations on barriers and whatnot that they can use that I will sign off for, so then I can make sure that they read.
Okay. Thank you. On to 10E. Under new business, verbal update of Algonia Fire Department, Director of Public Services. Mr. Jagger?
For you, Mr. Mayor, the new pump for the water suppression has been installed and is in the testing phases, so hopefully with their engineering within the next couple of days, things will be back to full operation. We do still have a water leak in Valgani that we've been trying to track since March. We also believe we located that this week, so. We have about 8 water leaks right now throughout the Blackbird Massive.
Any questions or comments for Mr. Jagger? Moving on to F. It was moved by Councillor Bouchard, seconded by Councillor McCutcheon. Be it resolved that the terms of reference for the ad hoc physician recruitment committee be amended to increase memberships from 4 to 6 members. And that staff be directed to update the terms of reference accordingly. And further, that applications for the 2 additional positions be brought forward to council for appointment. Questions or comments on that resolution? No. All those in favor? You. On to reports. It was moved by Councillor Gattery, second by Councillor Allen. Be it resolved that council acknowledges receipt of memo TM 2025-11 memo transfer to reserves as attached, and that council approves the transfer of $1,787,260.75 from reserves to cover 2023 capital expenditures. And further, that an additional $29,379.77 be transferred from reserves to cover expenditures not reflected in the 2024 budget. Questions, comments on that? Councilor Bouchard.
Just, thanks, Mr. Mayor, just a question to see, is that amount taken out of our existing reserves? So the 3 point some million we have, this is gonna be taken out of there?
Okay, I'll refer that to Ms. Larson, because she'll give you a better answer than I will, for sure.
Mayor to council, this is just really a housekeeping. It was all presented at budget, but we didn't, I had nothing in a resolution for the auditors and whatnot. So the figures we give you at budget time that was left in reserves, this was all accounted for. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other questions? All those in favor? Moved by Councillor McCutcheon, second by Councillor Gattery. Whereas council previously directed staff to proceed with the vesting of properties by way of resolution 2025-75. Be it resolved that council acknowledges the receipt of report T 2025-12 vesting surplus properties as attached. And that the following properties be declared surplus to the needs of the township of Black River, Masson. I don't have to read all these. Good. There's 1, 2, 711 Gleason Avenue, 623 to 627 Gleason Avenue, 439 Pearl Street, 437 Pearl Street, 653 Edward Avenue, Masson, Plan M97 NB, 516 7th Avenue, and 447 Ross Avenue. And further, that these properties be advertised for disposition in accordance with the township's sale and disposition of land policy, with staff directed to proceed accordingly. Questions or comments on that resolution? Councillor Allen?
So all these properties are now going to be vested and they're becoming town properties, and then we're putting them up for sale. Is that how that goes?
Councillor or Ms. Larson?
So these were all properties that went through the tax registration process, weren't sold. So we vested them. I think council requested that. We vested them. They are now in the municipality's name. So we need to declare them as surplus and then advertise for sale, that they're available for sale.
Councillor Allen?
So are all of these properties vacant?
Vacant in which way?
Vacant in like there's no buildings on them, no
There are
nothing like that?
buildings on.
There are buildings?
Yeah.
So in the meantime, while the municipality is in ownership of them, what are we doing to make sure that none of these buildings are going to, you know what I'm gonna ask?
All in the 2025 budget process.
Okay,
If you would remember that we put money in the budget for property standards to have buildings removed.
okay. I might not have been here for that part of the meeting, so I
Probably.
apologize.
Yeah. all good.
Any other questions on that? Call for vote, all those in favor? Good. Moved by Councilor Guidry, second by Councilor Bouchard, be it resolved that council acknowledges receipt of Black River Masson Operations Report 2025, Q1 from Aqua as information. Questions, comments, council? All those in favor? Carried. Moved by Councilor Campbell, second by Councilor Charbonneau. Be it resolved that council acknowledges receipt of Northeastern Health Unit February 27th, 2025 minutes as information. Questions or comments on that? All those in favor? Moving into bylaws. Moved by Councilor McCutcheon, second by Councilor Campbell, be it resolved that bylaw number 2025-025 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the council of the corporation of the township of Black River Masson be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed this 13th day of May 2025. All those in favor? Moved by Councilor Bouchard, second by Councilor Campbell. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2025-026 being a bylaw to establish the Black River Masson Public Library be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed this 13th day of May 2025. Questions or comments? All those in favor? Moved by Councilor Campbell, second by Councilor Guidry, be it resolved that bylaw number 2025-027 being a bylaw to adopt a grants to organization policy be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed this 13th day of May 2025. Councilor Bouchard.
Thank
Charbonneau.
you, Mr. Mayor. Can we amend this to be just the first reading? So we can,
We
keep
did our
working on it?
first and second already, so we have to amend it.
I think at this point, we'd have to strike it down and then we'll bring it back. Like, because we have to bring back a new bylaw and policy. So we're making changes to it.
Okay,
So defer it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would defer. Would be my recommendation.
I'll defer.
You want to defer it? I'll get a mover and a second on that. For McCutcheon, Councilor Campbell. In favor? Carried. Correct. Moved by Councilor Allen, second by Councilor Bouchard. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2025-028 being a bylaw to designate a site plan control agreement area be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed this 13th day of May 2025. Questions or comments on that? All those in favor? Moved by Councilor Allen, second by Councilor McCutcheon, be it resolved that bylaw number 2025-29 being a bylaw to establish a municipal compliance procedure be read a first and second time this 13th day of May 2025. Questions or comments on that? I have a question. If you refer to the service level matrix, we have service levels of 1, 2, and 3, and service level 1 is routinely or periodically patrol the municipality. Service level 2 is during regular duties. And service level 3 is based on complaints. So if you look at the matrix, the regulatory bylaw of adult entertainment would be routinely checked upon, which I don't think is a huge issue at this point in our community. Parking would be during regular duties, and I think regular duties being from 8:30 to 4:30, I think we need to be a little more flexible during off regular duties. Mr. Jager?
Our bylaw department is strictly staff, so regular duties is whatever is set in his schedule that could be mutually changed upon with advance notice. So, what it means is like in the winter months, we could have our bylaw enforcement officer come in at 6 AM during snow events, as part of this regular duty, and then they would just end earlier so that we would stay in budget and no overtime would be.
Yeah, that's what I was referring to, is that we could just shift the hours, because if you go and inspect a car that's illegally parked at 8:30, he's in compliance, right?
And with whoever's gonna be in these roles, if it's staff, then we have that flexibility and already in our employee handbook.
Okay, and we're, at this point, are we looking at allowing some of our plow drivers to be able to enforce or at least acknowledge this?
Plow drivers, no, like the proper chain, there would be if a plow driver or grader operator sees something, they would notify the foreman. So if we were to give the rights down the road, maybe to the foreman to also do parking infractions, in bylaw, then that could also work. But I wouldn't want the grader operator or the snowplow to stop to give a ticket. For multiple reasons, but we are looking at strategic ways for the upcoming season on how we can have more coverage with the same amount of staff we currently have.
Councilor Campbell?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Property standards, should that not be a level 1 or 2 as well instead of a level 3? Shouldn't just go based on complaints. It should be, you drive around, you see something, you stop and you let them know.
Yeah, I'm assuming that the matrix is just a generic item, but if this is going out to the public's gonna say the same thing, is that the only time we're gonna enforce property standards is when I get a call. I think we need to be, I think Councilor referring, we need to be more proactive, right? Mr. Jager?
Again, through you, Mr. Mayor. So we are being as proactive as we can with the staff that we currently have, right? So, if this matrix basically says that if you have a problem with your neighbor, you're gonna call us, we're going to investigate. But we're not spending 6 hours out of our day going community to community to make sure that there's no garbage bags on anyone's lawn. If that's the appetite for mayor and council, then we need to look at our staffing and come up with a full-time bylaw enforcement officer, if that's the appetite. We do have to lean on the community every now and then to kind of point us in the direction of where there are concerns, so that we can go and deal with them. But if we want someone patrolling Black River Madison Monday to Friday, 8:30 to 4:30, we need to have further conversations on what our staffing is.
Any other comments on this service level matrix or the compliance procedure? Councilor Bouchard?
Yeah, it just, again, it doesn't say the amount of patrolling they're being done. Is it once a week, twice a week, or 3 times a week? But definitely, excuse me, the adult entertainment could be moved to the matrix 3, but the dogs should be moved to level 1, because we do have a lot of problems with dogs in all the municipalities.
Councilor Allen?
I was just gonna say about the service level matrix, I think there's quite a few things that could be changed around there to suit the current needs of the community, not necessarily saying that that's long-term, that that's how it needs to be consistently, but as of right now, just to nip some things in the bud, I think there's definitely some of those things should be switched around, like fireworks being a service level 2, that could be a service level 3 only if someone complains about it, kind of thing. You don't generally have a lot of fireworks going off in town. So that's usually not much of an issue, but like Mr. Bouchard said, there's dogs, there's property standards, there's things like that that have been a constant issue in our areas that we could, just adjust the matrix, like I said, for now, and look at it again come once we have maybe some of these issues have kind of resolved themselves a little bit, then we could look at changing it back to different levels, but
This is just being read a first and second time, so we have another kick again. Mr. Jagger?
Yeah, so if I can introduce Mayor, so this was based on when we look at our internal complaint program on where our complaints are coming from. Right, so like if counselors are getting complaints through email, right, like we have an internal complaint policy that should be followed so that we can track it better. And this is the level of service that we feel with our current staff that we can commit to. I don't want to say that we're gonna put everything level A right now and then not do it. Because if you look at just for tonight, the amount of bylaws and policies that we're bringing to the table, those take time. So if we want to do less of those and more enforcement, and that's the path forward, we can absolutely have a look at the matrix and adjusting it. But we also wanted to set realistic targets and not give council a false picture of what we are doing with our time.
Thank you. Any other comments on this resolution? Call for a vote. All those in favor? Here. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Charbonneau, second by Councillor Campbell, be it resolved that bylaw number 2025-029. Where did that one, yeah. Scratch that. Moved by Councillor Allen, second by Councillor Bouchard, be it resolved that bylaw number 2025-030 being a bylaw to regulate and license businesses be read a first and second time this 13th day of May 2025. Questions or comments? Councillor Campbell?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First question, I guess, how is this gonna affect the Mennonites? You guys are requesting for liability insurance documents of $2 million. I don't think the Mennonites carry insurance on their buildings or businesses.
I'm gonna open the floor up to Mr. Jagger, so I know he's done a lot of research on this.
Yeah, no, most of them, like if they're running a construction company and they're up on your roof in town, they absolutely have those things, right? And so that's part of the reason why we're bringing the business license to the table. And it's a very large document, first of all, and I don't expect us to pass it tonight, but this is so that if I'm running a company in town and I have these things, you want to be able to ensure that everyone has, fair game at getting contracts, right? So if you don't have a $2 million liability insurance and you're doing work with a municipality, and you go bid on jobs, you are for sure going to be lower than someone who is following the rules and regulations, right? So this is basically to make sure that anyone who is operating a business within our municipality are doing so on the same plane. This is going to be a huge undertaking because, again, this is an area where it's been, I'll say, just very relaxed for a long time. And we're starting to see businesses reach out to us and saying it's not fair that I have to play by the rules, but this one here isn't. And that's why they're able to do what they're doing. So, we would obviously have a grace period in here for people to be able to demonstrate to us that they can obtain these things, but to be able to operate within Blackburn Masson, these are going to be the requirements that you need to be able to prove to us to have a business.
Councillor Campbell?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So on that note, where it says required approval or inspections, what are you guys looking for zoning, fire, building, certificate of qualification?
Go ahead, Mr.
Mr. LaFave,
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So you'll probably notice, excuse me, in the chart, there are different requirements for different businesses. Certificate of qualification, for example, you might need one to be a barber, but you might not need one for one of the other business licenses. So it's always going to depend on the application that you're making. You'll probably notice that there's some more strict requirements for liability insurance between 2 million and 5 million, depending on the risk associated with it. Basically, if a municipality has a business licensing bylaw, they're supposed to be protecting the public. And that's what we're looking for. Door-to-door salesmen, when they're knocking on the door, we can require a criminal record check for you to be allowed to do that in Black River. So that's what we're.
Council.
Thank you, Mr. Cole, what are you guys looking for? Like, are you guys gonna come and inspect the building? Are you guys gonna come and inspect, make sure we have fire extinguishers? Like what, like this is in here for required approvals or inspections. You have fire, building. So like, what are you looking for those?
Yeah,
Mr. LaFave?
so through you, Mr. Mayor, if, for example, I had the fire chief look at the application, just to vet it, and there were some outstanding compliance issues, then that would be a consideration that we could use to decide whether or not to issue a business license. Same with planning. If you're operating a business in a zone that it's not permitted in, that would be something that we can consider when issuing a business license. It definitely doesn't mean that we're going to go down and do an inspection to determine whether an elevator is operational. That'd be the TSSA's job, or do an MOL inspection. That would be their job. So that helpful.
Yeah, it was just question.
Councillor Bouchard?
Yeah, if you have a business that you have no public access to and stuff like that, how's that there's none of those categorized in here, so how's that work? Like myself, I have no clients walking at all.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, some of the industrial type businesses wouldn't require a license. So first we have to determine whether or not you fit into one of the categories. Retail establishments generally, unless you're a convenience store, are something that would be covered under a business license. There are certain businesses that we can't regulate based on what the province allows a municipality to do. So if you were doing, you'll have to forgive me because I'm not entirely versed in your business, but I suspect that it's largely industrial manufacturing, which wouldn't fall under one of the categories.
Yeah, let's try to.
Yeah, I don't think you'd find your something category.
Councillor Charbonneau?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. How would this work for people that don't reside or don't operate in Matheson, just come to Matheson?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we would have a requirement for a business license. So if you're doing business in a municipality, you should have a business license. Every contractor that goes from municipality to municipality would be responsible for checking with that municipality to determine whether or not a license was required. In this bylaw, something that you might want to consider, because not every municipality does it, but in the chart, there's a transient fee included. So for example, if somebody came to town to do business, and we already have that particular business, somebody on 4th Avenue is doing it, the person that's coming in from another municipality would have to pay a little bit of an extra business licensing fee for coming in and doing business in that. Not really to de-incentivize, but again, level playing field.
And the fees in here are sort of recognizing the work the staff has to put in to do this. Like before we had was a $10 business license, which we can't get much done for $10. So this is not even recovering the cost, but it's reasonably trying to cover it.
Yeah, exactly. And again, that chart is entirely suggested.
Any other question comes from council? No, okay, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor? By Counselor Allen, second by Counselor Campbell. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2025-31 being a bylaw to regulate building construction be read a first and second time this 13th day of May 2025. Questions or comments from council? Counselor Sherrill.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I didn't have a chance to look, but what were the prices before?
On the building
Yeah,
fee applications?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do we have a comparison from before, Ms. Larson?
I believe it's $55 for the start and $9 for each additional 1,000. And if it was commercial, like then was a little more and $10 for each 1,000.
So it's not much, it's not truly not much more other than the 45 and then $1. Counselor Charbonneau,
not much more.
right?
You're going 50% up.
How's that?
Well, if you're at $10 and you're at $15, that's 50% up. And if you have a construction that's worth $3 million, your permit is going up.
Didn't you say it went from 9 to 10?
No, for commercial, I'm saying.
Oh, commercial, sorry, okay. Oh, that's all good, okay.
I understand we need revenue in this field, but it's quite a jump.
And this is in line with neighboring communities, correct? Mr. Lefebvre?
Yeah, sorry, through you, Mr. Mayor. Again, the numbers that were put on are purely suggestive, and like just confirming that it is $10 for every following 1,000 from commercial. So absolutely, number one, they do follow similar pricing as neighboring communities. We're definitely a little bit behind where everyone is, and then also considering that we're still a little bit away from being able to do this internally ourselves. So again, entirely suggestive. We can change that for the third reading for sure.
Okay. Any comments then as to how you want to proceed with this? Councilor Charbonneau?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just believe we need to go through these numbers some more because we're trying to promote development in Matheson. And we're trying to nail them on the other end. It doesn't make sense. Like, this is another 34% tax increase. That's the same idea. We're going 50% on commercial. Like, I'm just using commercial because that's the one I'm looking at.
Yep.
Like, we could go maybe 25%, go at 12.50 and then take another chunk next year, but I think it's too big of a leap for right away.
Mr. Jager?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Let us go back and look at the numbers again, but we came back with these because of the recommendation and we wanted to ensure that it wasn't costing us money for building permits, right? So we looked at a couple of neighboring communities, what was going on, and at our last couple of building permits that had returned, those were the numbers we came up with. But let us have one more crack.
Okay. Every table agreeing with that? So can we still pass first and second and then,
Yeah, we can make the changes for the third reading.
Mr. Lefebvre?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, just sort of looking for general direction. Are we looking at sort of capping it at max 25% increase? Again, just so we bring something back that everybody was.
Councilor Charbonneau? What were you thinking?
That's a double-edged sword, that one. Because if we say we wanna cap it at 25%. We don't know, I don't know what the numbers are, what they used to be. Like, we have the proposed numbers here, I don't know what they used to be, right?
Mhm.
So the next version will be all 25% higher than last year. Because that's what we just said. That's why I don't wanna, like. If one was at 90 and we went to $100, and that's what we need, then perfect. We don't need to go 25%.
Mhm. Mr. LeFeuvre,
For you, Mr. Mayor, we'll make sure that there's a red line version so that you've got the old fees included as well.
do we better do just to defer this? No,
It's a first and second, so it's not being passed. Even if you accept it now, for the third reading, we can make the changes.
okay, and you have enough staff, enough information to, okay. So we're okay with that, we'll pass first and second and come back with the. Next crack at it on the version, the third reading. Okay, but we still have an opportunity, third reading to. Change it. Okay. You okay with that? Okay. Everybody's okay with that, concept then?
Yeah.
Okay. So having said that, call for vote. All those in favor? Carried. Lost my paper. There it is. Did you take it? Moving on to other business. 15A meeting minutes from April 8th meeting, Butter Lake Cottagers, Councillor Bouchard. Everybody's read that. Did you want to speak on that quickly, Councillor Bouchard?
Yes, I can, Mr. Mayor. It's just, this is actually the formal meeting that we had at Rolly's Restaurant on April 8th. And it states the people that were there and stuff, and I mean, there was a lot of emotions involved in the people there. To be against this quarry, but the MTO was really unprecedented in them actually taking the time to sit down with us. We had John Vantoff there also to listen to the concerns and stuff like that. The MTO is still doing their study, so it's still not finished. Once they've done that, then they'll come to the municipality and present it to us to review. They didn't give us a timeline yet, so they figured, so hopefully sometime this summer. Because they do want to do the corridor for Butter Lake, like the highway and stuff like that. And the other emphasis they did is that this quarry will not be available to, it will only be for MTO use only, not for a contractor like IMOS and Villeneuve and all that. So the amount of volume is going to be dramatically less. So it's just more for information and stuff like that.
Great, thank you. Any questions for Councillor Bouchard? Councillor Charbonneau.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's more of a comment. I just wanted to add in. I agree with John Vantoff, like, I understand people are against this. But every Facebook site, every time you talk to somebody, people do not like our highways. So if we want our highways to get better, we need MTO pits. Right, so you get in the way of them, then you don't get good highways.
And that's,
The double-edged sword again. Councillor Bouchard?
and that's, thank you, Mr. Mayor, just, and that's exactly what John Vantoff said. He said, like, I'm here to support both parties, but he says we're trying to make the highway safer. And the only way to make the highway safer is to, you know, do the passing lane and all that work, and we need the quarry to do it, so. So it's gotta be a compromise.
Okay, thank you. Moving along to. Question and answer period.
Brody can handle this portion.
Yeah.
So, we are going to, if anybody in the public wants to ask a question. As usual, stand up, state your name, your ward, and hopefully I've tried to answer your question. Staff first? No? Okay. Mr. Jagger.
for your mayor for the day for the question he asked me today in the office regarding the park.
Oh, yes.
Yes, I did not forget. The company, my contact Melissa is actually coordinating right now. To be hopefully here by July. So not set in stone. But what we're doing in the background, because we actually haven't awarded the project yet. Is Mr. LaFave is going to reach out to one of his contacts in Timmins tomorrow to see if they could meet the money that's set aside, and if we can beat that timeline, we're gonna go with whoever can be here first.
This acting mayor has more pull.
Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding.
It takes us 3 weeks, 3 meetings to get an answer. Wow. Is that a good enough answer for you? All right.
What are you doing for the next meeting?
Okay, we're gonna move on to adjournment. Can you read that for me? That's Bouchard, that's Sherville, so you read that?
By Bouchard, second by Charbonneau. Be it resolved that this regular council meeting is hereby adjourned at 7:47 PM. Carried.
All those in favor? Carried. There you go, you get the whack it one more time. And we're out of here. Thank you. Yeah.